We've had great memories, but I kind of wish I'd die soon. We've had great memories, yes, but I kind of wish I would just die soon. Okay, that's my hook. That's the hook for the video. Now I want to talk to you about these notes that I have here. Okay, so imagine a problem. So let's just take any problem that we're facing in our modern day. So, for example, light pollution, right? Absolute classic. Actually, it's not a classic. Nobody really knows about it. It's kind of insane, actually. Light produced by people. It shines into the atmosphere and it blocks out the star's light from reaching our eyes, right? So that's actually kind of heartbreaking. I like to think of that problem as a good metaphor or something to represent all the problems in life. Because that problem, it's kind of silly, literally turning on a light, right? Causes the most beautiful thing that anybody could ever see to go away. So I hope I've explained that correctly, because that is the case here on Earth. I learned about light pollution not when I was very young, but fairly recently, right? Not everybody seems to fully understand the consequences of light pollution. But anyway, we have this problem, right? And obviously, nobody is going to get rid of lights and stuff. Because lights make people feel safe. It makes sense. You don't want to be driving home and then there's just no lights. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous, right? But there is a solution. The solution has been created by people who care deeply. People who have sunk their life into light pollution. There's a couple of them. There's a couple of people out there, right? Who have cared so deeply about light pollution. One of the solutions is directing lights downward. So more lights can be directed downwards. There can be a cap over street lights or whatever, right? And then another thing is using warm colored lights. Warm colored lights. And then of course we can restrict certain light access. Not restrict, but kind of minimize it or use it at certain hours, right? So there's solutions. That's the thing. There's solutions. There's solutions. So what I'm trying to encourage here is that we look for those solutions. And we be very conscious about everything. So just take any part of your day, any part of your life, and just kind of think about it for a minute, and then maybe do a little bit of research on that thing, right? Okay, I think I need to give an example there. So imagine you buy a chocolate bar, which are so good, and then you have the plastic left over from it. Search up try to find somebody online or something who cares very deeply about plastic, and then see what they would do. See what they would do. How would they recycle it? Maybe recycling is kind of a scam, right? So I don't know. Maybe you but then that creates another problem of not everybody in the world has time to actually try to recycle plastic properly or whatever. You know what I mean? It's so problematic. I've seen this a lot with parents, when you're outside and you just see a kid with an iPad or whatever, and me, a person who has experienced the depths of hell in relation to the kind of evil that can be found on the internet, right? So I've seen that, right? I've seen that firsthand, and so I know what danger can possibly come of just a child using the phone and everything. Obviously most people know that a phone given to a child is kind of like a drug, So my response to that is I can do two things. I can just hope for the fucking best. I can just hope that the parent is actually I can hope that the parent actually cares and kind of limits the screen time or whatever. But I think you and I both know that a lot of parents are I hate to say it, but they kind of bring children into the earth, and they say, "Oh, it just happened," and then of course, they try, so I can't yell at them for trying. I can't I can't sit here and be angry that parents try their best, but I mean, how could you ethically decide to bring a child into the world without like reading at least a couple books on it first, and without having like a bunch of money, like, or at least a bunch of resources? I don't know. But the other thing that I can do in that situation where I see a child with like a phone is, I've basically put together a letter. It's like I don't know how to describe it, but I have this website which I describe as a public journaling project where I organize and I write down all of my thoughts on how we can prevent child exploitation, and I try to unite people to do the same. And it's based on a lot of like hands-on research, like, and by hands-on research I mean like I've been I used to be like involved in the anti-predator community, so people who would go out of their way to report child predators, right? But I've kind of made a letter, an introductory letter sort of thing that I could then give to parents. So I've printed it out. I've given it to a couple parents in person before. It's really hard to do. It's really hard to do, right? You don't want to like come across as like a weirdo for like giving somebody something, but you know, I did it. I should probably do it more, but the point is that I have made this project. I have put in the time towards, like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. I have put in the time towards making this letter that hopefully introduces parents to the exploitation problems of our time and how easily technology can be taken advantage of, right? So I have done that, and I've kind of tried to consolidate it into a letter, which is printable, right? So that's what I have done. So what we should do, people who don't have much time, people who are just trying to help the world, like trying to be conscious, take what I've done and then just give something to a parent. I don't know. You know? Like once or twice. I don't know. I don't know for sure. That's the problem. This is what the frustration is. I don't know for sure, right? Because I've spent so much time journaling, so much time working and doing these things. And first of all, I don't get a lot of feedback because the project doesn't get a lot of exposure to people. I really want feedback. I try to ask for it a lot, right? It's just problematic, dude. This world that we're living in is problematic, but honestly, we're thinking of solutions here. The point on this channel right here is to try, right? It's to try and think of solutions. That's what we're doing right here. Let me see if I can get through the rest of these notes. So yeah, be open to the solutions. Be open to the solutions that are out there, because there are some people who have done all the work for it, right? I said right again. Anyway. And see, as I tell you this, it kind of starts to sound like common sense, but this next thing I have written is, don't think of things as left versus right, or like baby versus women. Do you know what I mean? So I think this is a different point that I'm getting into here. But a lot of people think of things as, oh, the leftists versus the right, the people on the right spectrum of the political spectrum. People think, okay, if you're against babies, then you're for women. Or if you're for women, you're against babies. Like, you know, like, obviously people give a shit about protecting women's rights and women's bodily autonomy. Obviously people also give a shit about protecting babies, right? So if I were to defend, so let me like defend both sides for a second of like the abortion thing, right? So babies, oh my gosh, hold on. So babies, or like the fetus, or whatever you want to call it, it is its own person. And so that is the problem. People who are anti-abortion generally believe that babies, like whatever this thing is, it is its own person in some way, shape, or form, and therefore separate from the woman's bodily autonomy, right? That's the belief, and that's what you have to understand if you are pro-abortion. Me personally, I think that like, you know, if somebody gets taken advantage of, I think you know what I mean, right? In an inappropriate way, Oh my god, that sounds terrible, but it's better than the word grape, which is what people use. But, grape, GRAPE, to describe, you know. But if that happens to a woman, then maybe abortion should be, more heavily considered. But I mean, I just don't think that people, I don't know if people should be going out and just getting abortions. But to defend the other side here, they just basically don't believe that it's like a person yet. I don't think they think of it as murder, right? There's no intention behind it. They just know what they know. I don't really know. I mean, I guess I lean towards anti-abortion, but at the end of the day, I just don't fucking know yet, right? I need more information. This shit is terrible. This life is insane. Okay, another thing I wanted to say in my notes is, let's have more independent journalism and government accountability. So I think this video, what should I title this video? I don't know. Just brainstorming solutions to the problems of our time? I don't know. But yeah, more independent journalism and government accountability. Imagine if the government was like way more accountable. I do not yet know if ICE agents have a body cam, but they definitely should, right? They definitely should, under all circumstances, I believe. But it's just problematic, because, we have, like, this government, and we just have all these systems, right? And we the people, like, do we actually know, like, the fuller picture here of what the fuck is going on in our society? I don't know if we do. That's kind of... It's very frustrating to think about, isn't it? To imagine that you're helpless in all of these systems. This is terrible. Something needs to be done. I needed to make this video. I needed to rant. I needed to vent. So my next note is, let's actually do something. Let's actually do something. Let's actually do something. Be open to solutions. Be critical of whatever the fuck. I mean, at this point, right, if you kind of follow all of this advice, how are you supposed to get anything else done, Because this is going to take all of your time. But honestly, I'm to the point where I have given up on sort of the mainstream approach to living in society. So, like, you get a good job, you buy rent and all that. I've decided not to do that, so as not to participate so heavily in an economy and in a system and in a government that I don't understand, and has actually proven to be corrupt time and time again on so many levels, right? We got government corruption, which I don't even dig into it, because I'm working on solutions, right? I'm literally working on fucking solutions. I'm exploring intentional communities. I'm exploring alternate methods of like land ownership that aren't, that don't require banks and like government to control it. I'm like researching and like trying to learn like exactly what the government does, and like well, actually I don't care too much about that. I care more so what we can do, right? I've heard, and you possibly have heard, that the government or companies want to keep the population under control, or like weak and tired. Have you heard that before? I don't know about that, but I mean, it kind of would make sense. That's all I'm saying. But I'm working for real change, right? I'm exploring intentional communities. I'm learning about bushcraft and natural building, independent building, different ways to build community, right? It's definitely, I think what I'm doing right now is definitely the road less traveled. I think I felt quite lonely a lot of the time doing this, but by the way, if you agree with what I say, then I should have a Discord linked below, which is meant to connect like-minded people, specifically people who kind of share this like some of the same ideas that I'm kind of saying here. Let's actually do something. My other note is, everyone cares and loves. You care and love. You care about the world. So let's just act like it. Let's just act like it. Let's just act like it. Like, I mean, it's gonna be hard work. And it's gonna be draining, but let's just be more conscious. Let's, like, look for the solutions. I don't know, maybe I would even urge you to not have kids unless you know for a fact that they're going to be stable or something. Or you know for a fact that you know how to protect them from the exploitation problems of our time. I mean, obviously they seem to change with each generation, but, like, it's just this internet, man. Like, I mean, there was another story recently of, like, you know, a young person who got stolen by an abuser through the internet, of course, through some coercion and such. But it's just like, I want all of these problems to have a solution. That's me. That's my brain. If you're like that, maybe we can connect, and maybe we would be good to talk to each other. You see what I'm saying here? Do you see the point of this video? It's to brainstorm solutions. And also for me to rant about these things that are kind of driving me insane. Let's make sacrifices. Let's make sacrifices. I'm convinced that sacrifices made on our part will help ensure that everyone in the world has the pleasures that they need and deserve. So these quality of life things, I believe that if we just keep making sacrifices, it's going to be a sacrifice, right? I would even urge people to, like, just not, like, under no circumstances put yourself in a situation where you could have kids on accident, right? Like, please. That breaks my heart. All of this breaks my heart. I mean, that's about it. That's about it. That's about it. Thank you. I guess this was a more chaotic video, but honestly, like, again, thank you for listening. There's going to be a 0% chance anybody listens all the way through. If they do, then it's probably because they agree with me on some stuff, I assume, which is kind of be a miracle, but I don't know. I'm still skeptical because my last few videos haven't really done well. And by doing well, I mean like 15 views. that's like doing well for me. I would hope for a lot more in the future, but dude, you got to start somewhere. That's what I'm doing here. Like, I think I crashed out a little bit last night. I was just like, just walking down the street, just like fucking so angry at these problems, dude. They will drain you, especially if you listen to, like, specific news or you're in certain circles, whether online or not, and you just hear the ways people are being taken advantage of. Like, it'll drain on you, dude, and it's gonna hurt like hell. But we're gonna be well. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Just thank you for listening.